I don't want to divorce my husband, but I don't know how much more I can take. My husband has these terrible outbursts of anger and it's always aimed at me. I've tried taking his suggestions and applying them and I still get the brunt of his anger. He works maybe 20 hours a week while I work closer to 40, my job is also significantly more demanding. I am recovering from a pretty rough injury that has required 2 surgeries and a potential third next year. I guess I'm adding all this to explain how we divide household duties. He does the majority of the everyday cleaning, I do deep cleaning tasks. He takes care of the girls while I'm at work, and when I'm home we both care for them. I admit that I should do more when I am home. I am honestly just in a ton of pain 24/7, especially after work because of said injury. Here's where my problem is. My husband frequently has these anger outbursts. Typically with very little warning. Example, last week I was working more than normal and was extra tired. I also re-injured myself and was seen at the ER where they gave me muscle relaxers and let me know I sprained the already injured area. The next day I was very out of it due to the meds and I woke up and wasn't helping with the kids as much as I should have been. He lost it. Yelling, cussing, name-calling, and just berating me for my lack of help with the kids. This has become a regular thing. I try to have open communication and I am led to believe everything is fine, and then it feels like out of nowhere I'm getting screamed at. I'm so exhausted from it, honestly. I feel like I'm shutting down. Like I'm losing myself in trying to be good enough. Also I feel like I'm not allowed to have any emotions besides being happy. If I do, it is always a fight. Even if I try to communicate, it always blows up in my face. I try to give him space, but I get so tired of being iced out for hours, sometimes days, when I honestly don't know why he is so angry. I've tried setting boundaries, but I fail to do anything when they get crossed. I've begged for him to go to therapy, but it doesn't work for me, or we don't have the money. I don't want to give up because I love the man more than almost anyone. Besides my kids, but I feel so helpless. I don't know anymore. Any advice on how to get him to be open to help? Or how to salvage our marriage? Comment. He is abusive. I'm not saying that because I think you're perfect. I know you're not perfect because nobody is perfect. I'm saying that because nobody has the right to treat their partner the way he treats you. There is no universe where the correct assessment is, you are terrible, so he's right to rip you apart all the time. He's not going to change. He wants a relationship where he can scream at you like this. The anger makes him feel good. You're teaching your daughters to look for a marriage like yours. Someday when they're grown up, one of them will come to you and say, "My husband treats me like garbage, but I can't leave because I love him so much, so I just accept it." I learned that from watching Dad scream at you. And he isn't going to change. You should not salvage this marriage. You can love him and care about him and still not be living with him. This man is abusive, verbally and emotionally abusive. Don't start making excuses for him, or your marriage, or anything else. Just sit with this for a few minutes and acknowledge it. Your children are watching this behavior on a daily basis and absorbing it. They learn by watching and imitating. Sons are learning that men get their way by bullying, yelling, demanding, they're bigger / stronger / better, so they have a right to expect to get their way. Daughters are learning that men get their way and women better do what men want, or they get screamed at, insulted, maybe even hit. Are these the lessons you want your kids to learn? Do you think you can bring them up around this shit and then offset it by saying, "But you girls need to stand up for yourselves," or "You boys would never yell at your wives / girlfriends because you're too nice for that"? If you want a better future for your kids, then you need to get them away from this dynamic on a daily basis. You deserve better, but you seem unwilling to accept that. This dynamic will never change. That's a fact. Your husband is unwilling to go to therapy, work hard at therapy, be humble enough to accept responsibility for his behavior. That's how we know it will not change. Even if he went to therapy, "I'll go to therapy if you promise not to file for divorce," It wouldn't work. It has to be something he wants, something he sees value in, and something he's willing to work hard at. He needs individual anger management therapy. Couples counseling won't work. Never attend therapy with your abuser. Please file for divorce this year. If you move out with your kids, then you know that, at least for all the time they spend with you, they will be in a quiet, loving, supportive, mature home, seeing an adult conduct their life with dignity, respect, courage, and fortitude. If your husband directs his temper at the children, then you should ask the court to allow him supervised visitation only, and perhaps the court will mandate anger management classes as a prerequisite to him seeing the children regularly. Best wishes on moving forward with your life. You can love him, but you should not be living with him, and neither should your children until they're older teens and can fend for themselves. You don't want to give up on him, but the man sounds like he has already gave up on you. A person who loves you is supposed to never want to see you in any pain, be it physically or emotionally. And here he is, doesn't care about the physical pain and actively inflicting emotional pain. Next story 2. How to deal with mom constantly guilt-tripping me about not calling/visiting and being very emotionally manipulative. To preface this, I have always been pretty bad about calling/checking up on people. I feel like now, since I've moved out, it's not that it's gotten worse, but more that it's become more apparent to my mom, since we're not forced to interact on a daily basis. A constant trend I've noticed in my family is that certain expectations will never be communicated to us, until something happens that the adults, i.e., my parents, aunt, etc., don't like. Then it's a whole barrage of angry outbursts, disappointment, and/or silent treatment. This has affected my mental health in the past, and I don't think I've ever really recovered from it, as it usually would come out of nowhere. The reason for this post is because a few days ago, my mom texted me a super long paragraph telling me how much she misses me, that all her efforts have gone to waste. I've abandoned the family, especially my aunt and grandma, by never calling them or visiting. The thing is though, my family is super religious, and my mom is convinced that my behavior is because of the devil. It's like she doesn't view me as my own person because she didn't raise me like that, and that I must be possessed basically for not acting how she wants me to. Let me provide some context as to why I believe I've subconsciously distanced myself from the women in my family in particular. My mom and her sister and their mom are all very critical and judgmental people when it comes to appearance. Anytime I deviate from what they view as attractive, I never hear the end of it. The last year especially, I have been more experimental with my style, and this has caused friction between us. Especially since, as I've grown, I don't care enough to agree with everything they say anymore, or to try to appease them by compromising on what I want. I have always based my beauty on what they have to say, whether or not they compliment me, or fixing what they say looks bad. Also, I have steadily put on weight over the past couple of years, and the past few times I did see my aunt, she kept telling me that I needed to lose weight and to go to the gym. Even on Thanksgiving last year, I tried out a new hairstyle and she thought it looked bad and just had to say something. The first time I contributed to Thanksgiving dinner, last year as well, she took one look at what I made and said it looks dry. Didn't even try it too. Over time, this has caused a huge hit to my self-esteem. I know what I look like, I see myself in the mirror every day. I also want to change it. They think they're being helpful by pointing it out and that it's out of love, but it just has the reverse effect. I'd say it's like they don't even consider those comments might upset me, but one time my grandma told me, "Oh, it looks like you've lost some weight," and my mom overheard and said, "Don't make comments like that, that's why the kids won't visit you." So she's clearly aware of the effect it has, but for some reason thinks she's different and that I should take it cause she's my mom. And back on the religious point, my mom also has the tendency to project her fears onto me. Everything she's scared of, I have to be scared of too. Whenever she receives signs from God through her dreams, or has a nightmare about me, she also includes those in her long text messages, which is really stressful to me and contributes to my paranoia. Do I believe signs exist? Yes. Do I think every dream/nightmare you have is a sign? No. I just need help on how to go about this because it's not like I never want to see my family ever again. I do. But how do I establish boundaries to stop the guilt tripping? My mom never really listens to what I say. She uses my points just to restate what she said, like that will somehow show me that she's right and I'm wrong. I do realize that I'm from an immigrant family and me moving out so early is out of the norm, but I have my own life and responsibilities now. My weekends are always full with plans already, and if they're not, I have chores to do around the house. Also, how do I respond to the comments on my appearance? I'm pretty sure if I do start visiting again, those will continue, so I want to be prepared mentally. Comment. You could do what I did at your age. My mom would get all over my back because I didn't wear makeup, but dressed fairly well. I did take every negative thing to heart. Then she started contradicting herself. I started replying yeah, great to as many of her criticisms as I felt I could get away with. I realized she was just wasting air, and insulting my ears. I stopped taking any of it seriously. I had to add in I heard yeah for a while. She got really mad one day and demanded to know if I was listening. I took my time and said no. Her head did explode, but I went home. You might be able to stop it, but you have to be sure of yourself, and be completely willing to repeat yourself 1,000 times. And maybe don't say no if they ask if you are listening. That was a really bad idea that caused a month-long fight. Even if it felt great in the moment. Try setting boundaries. Start with one and work your way up. What bugs you the most? Talking about your weight maybe? Tell your mom and aunt that when they mention your weight you will leave and then leave. Sooner or later they will get the message.